well, they was something until Crawford fought him. So obviously he's doing a great job because he's making everybody look normal.
Apparently no rehydration clause, am I hearing that right? He wants full smoke at that weight.
Let's go, man. That's what Crawford wants. He wants to show the world that he's the best. So, and why put stipulations in there when you know that you can be the best?
I can totally see Crawford outboxing Canelo, like bad, making him look like taking him straight to school. But again, I do not see Crawford stopping Canelo. I don't see him knocking him out. I don't see any of that. I do see Crawford taking him to 12. And
Crawford has brought in Floyd Mayweather Jr. for sparring sessions to ensure his victory versus Canelo, a move that speaks volumes about the seriousness of his approach. Mayweather has stated that he is assisting Crawford in preparing. For Canelo's defensive sophistication and ring intelligence, the relationship is very symbolic. Mayweather was the first to comfortably dethrone Canelo in 2013, and now, 12 years later, he's assisting Crawford in scripting what could be the final chapter in the Mexican superstar's reign. Crawford's team claims that this will force him to improve his timing, adapt on the fly, and tighten his footwork, and to review the type of ring generalship he'll meet against someone who has been strolling through bigger men at 168 pounds for years.
Along my career, I've been criticized and people have taken credit away from me just to try to diminish my accomplishments just off of pure hate. So what would they be able to say with me going up 2 weight classes? If Canelo become undisputed again and I beat Canelo, what could they say?
Crawford's count is a combination of science and intensity. He has already begun high-level sparring with both Mayweather and Lester Martinez, Guatemala's undefeated knockout artist. Martinez, a full-bodied super middleweight with legitimate power, is a perfect match for Canelo's size and strength. Crawford's team isn't taking chances. They brought in partners who can push him, partners who can throw with the explosive volume that Crawford rarely faced at welterweight. It is part of a bigger scheme: simulate everything Canelo might throw at him: power, pressure, timing, and unrelenting bodywork, then figure out how to overcome it.
Combinations and a very strong fighter. You know, facing him off, he's actually the taller man. So I'm leaning towards Crawford now. I switched my opinion. I think Canelo looked too slow, too flat-footed. One punch at a time. I don't think that's going to be enough for him to beat Crawford. Crawford's too fast, too strong, just too.
Crawford appears sharp in the minimal training film he has released to the public, throwing precise jabs, altering his combos, and fluidly swapping stances. What stands out is the dramatic growth in his size. For a man who campaigned at 147 for so long and is now gunning for 168, the increased bulk is difficult to ignore. For some, it's a red flag. Will he be slower? Has he exchanged speed for strength?
Do you think you're going to stop Canelo Alvarez?
I don't gotta stop him. I just gotta beat him. I'm not going in there looking to knock Canelo out. Could it happen? Yes, absolutely. When I look at Canelo, he's a smaller, bigger guy moving up in divisions. Being that these big guys are slower, so they might catch him with something, but he might see it as.
Others think it's a wise move. He's keeping his distinctive sharpness, but gaining the frame to absorb Canelo's big blows. To social media, replies were unsurprisingly mixed. Some spectators remarked on Crawford's clean and fluid appearance despite the additional weight. Sharp as hell. One commented, he went up in weight, gained more power, and maintained his speed. Others, however, were skeptical, voicing concerns that the increased mass might slow him down or drain the explosiveness that has propelled him to the top of the pound-for-pound rankings.
And then I started sizing him up, and I'm like, all right, well, Canelo 5'7", my arm's longer.
Yeah.
He's strong, I'm strong.
Right.
It'd be, to me, skill for skill.
Right.
Because Canelo not the biggest 168 fighter. So I just started looking into it and I'm like,
But the transition to a bigger weight isn't just physical, it's psychological, and Crawford, ever the technician, seems completely unbothered by the magnitude of the leap. "I'm the type of guy who likes to feel my fighters out and adjust to what they're doing," he explained when asked about the weight jump. "I think that's my greatest attribute, to be able to figure out every opponent I've faced thus far." That approach, that confidence in his adaptability, has become Crawford's defining trait. He doesn't blow through opponents with overwhelming force. He breaks them down, he analyzes in real time, then dismantles piece by piece. Against Canelo, a fighter who has made a living walking down opponents, Crawford's goal will be to disrupt the rhythm, pivot off angles, and suffocate Canelo's forward momentum.
On his part, and then you get to see Canelo and see if he's able to maintain the 168-pound division. You know, he's been there for quite some time, and we've seen Canelo go up to 75 to fight Bivol. It didn't look too well for him, you know, but we'll see. I think it's a great matchup. Obviously, Canelo has to do his part in winning and collecting another belt to become undisputed once again in that weight class against William Skull. So it's a great matchup. I think that is definitely eye-pleasing for the crowd.
And there's more to it than just training. The stakes are high, not just for Crawford, but for boxing in general. Alal Sheikh, the Saudi advisor behind several of the sport's recent mega-events, called the approaching confrontation as the biggest fight in boxing and history in the last decade, if not more. He's not exaggerating. This is more than just a title battle. It's a pound-for-pound showdown, a legacy-making moment for two of the sport's most formidable characters. Alal Sheikh announced the announcement with pride, praising both the boxes and Netflix SATKO, Nick Khan, and the complete machinery that enabled this event. Crawford vs. Canelo is touted as the one, and it bears all of that weight. The branding is an intentional homage to Canelo's 2013 fight with Floyd Mayweather, but this time Canelo is the elder statesman defending his kingdom, while Crawford is aiming to create his position in the history of greatness.
Terence asked you to help him for Canelo, would you?
Если Канело тебя попросит помочь в спаррингах, ты согласишься?
Yes, yeah, because I needed more practice for my next fight. If he's calm, no problem.
You think Terence can beat Canelo?
If 12 rounds, maybe yes.
The entire production is geared for worldwide spectacle. NETFLIX is broadcasting the fight, making it available to its 300 million users. The transition to a streaming platform, particularly following Netflix's success with Jake Paul vs. Mike Tyson, signifies a shift in how boxing's biggest nights are packaged and delivered. That battle drew 108 million viewers for the main event alone. Crawford vs. Canelo, with its much higher stakes and broader appeal, may easily surpass that figure, attracting casuals, diehards, and international fans alike. The three-city press trip, which begins June 20th in Riyadh, New York, and Las Vegas, follows the promotional model of old-school blockbusters, with each stop geared to build hype and provide discussion points.
Alvarez versus Terence Crawford has a venue and has a streaming platform. The fight will be in Las Vegas, and Netflix will be streaming this fight. Now, I have high hopes for Netflix because, like we saw Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul, a lot of buffering. I don't think Netflix will make that same mistake again, because this is the biggest fight in boxing since Pacquiao and Mayweather. And if Netflix can provide no lagginess, no buffering throughout the whole event, Netflix is going to be very respectable.
And Canelo isn't treating this as just another defense. This is his era, weight, and home, after regaining the IBF title by defeating William Skull in Saudi Arabia. Canelo currently holds all 4 major belts, totaling 168. Crawford was ringside that night, observing carefully, and the animosity between the two was palpable even before the post-fight brawl. Canelo wasted no time reminding fans and Crawford of the pecking order he believes exists. He's a fantastic boxer, Canelo explained, but he's not Canelo. On September 13th, in Las Vegas, I will remind the world who governs this era. Crawford isn't coming up to 168 to be competitive, he's coming to dominate. Canelo knows it.
About Terence Crawford, do you think it'll add to your legacy, the fight with
Yeah,
Crawford?
a lot. He's a really good fighter, 2 times undisputed champion. He accomplished so much, so can add a lot of my career.
This bout will also be Zuffa Boxing Dana's global debut. White's long-rumored entry into the sweet science, combined with the Saudi promotional machine and Netflix's global streaming strength, makes this one of the most complex, financially aggressive boxing events in recent memory. It is more than just who wins. It is about who controls the sport's future. The huge discrepancy cannot be ignored.
Seen the last decade? Yeah, ever. This is one of the biggest fights ever. And obviously I'm honored to be promoting. But yes, when they say we're promoting it, I'm doing the promotion, we're doing the production, the event ops, PR, I mean, everything to do with the fight, just like a UFC fight, while at the same time promoting UFC Noche. So it'll all be the same weekend. It's a badass weekend of fight.
Crawford is up 14 pounds since his last fight, a victory over Israel Madrimov. That's a big step for a boxer who spent years developing his craft at 147, and while he recently fought at 154, 168 is Canelo's turf, where he's destroyed bigger fighters like Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders. Crawford has a multifaceted challenge. He must equal Canelo's physicality while maintaining precision, withstand body punches without becoming stagnant, and execute his game plan without allowing Canelo to determine the tempo.
A good little man has never beaten a good big man in the history of the game, unless you go back to certain situations with Pacquiao beat me, but I was a dead man walking anyway. But a good little man never beats a good big man, so it's a tough test for Crawford, but I'm not counting him out. The bottom line, and this is the truth again, it's a money grab. That's it. Yeah.
Crawford's versatility is his key skill. He doesn't come in with a set plan. He studies, absorbs, and adapts. We're going to see come fight time what my advantage is, remarked the opponent. That is not a vague answer. It provides insight into how he fights. He never shows his complete hand till the time is opportune. That's how he took down Errol Spence. That's how he neutralized Sean Porter. And that's probably how he'll approach the Canelo fight, not aiming to win all 12 rounds, but waiting for the moment when he sees something no one else does and acts.
Give Canelo a real problem now. I think early on you could see, he's a mover and he's obviously a very good boxer. I think to start with, when he's throwing his jab, it was falling short. They weren't emphatic punches, and I think as it slowed down, it was then connecting. He was catching. It makes that Crawford fight, I think, more an intriguing fight. I always say a good big and a beat a good little one, and he's got to give a lot of weight away, Crawford, but he could give Canelo a real problem now because Canelo was getting caught.
Watching that, do you think Crawford might be perhaps...
As Manny Pacquiao re-enters the boxing spotlight to prepare for his own return, the Hall of Famer didn't waste time weighing in on the year's most debated matchup. Tack delivered a calm, a-pointed message for Terence Crawford's speed, style, and strength. That's what it'll take to beat Canelo Alvarez, coming from a man who once danced through divisions flattening champions with quick feet and quicker hands. The advice doesn't sound generic, it sounds lit. Pacquiao knew what it was. It is hardly the most apparent forecast in a contest like this. Canelo has been in the ring with top movers before Floyd Mayweather outboxed him clean and Dimitri Bivol blasted him with meticulous footwork, but he's also adjusted since then, learning how to shut off the ring and making fighters like Caleb Plant and Billy Joe Saunders wilt under persistent pressure. Pacquiao is aware of this, but he sees something more elusive in Crawford, a man who not only hits with startling sharpness, but also switches stances. Crawford's ability to hide punches and read opponents like a chessboard demonstrates that mid-fight speed and strength are not mutually exclusive. That's why Pacquiao leans on that trio: speed, style, and strength, as if to say,
it's a stylistic matchup, and Williams Cole don't fight nothing like Terence Crawford. So we're not going to see the same type of fight come September. I think we're going to see a great fight, real good fight.
You and Terence have always had like a good relationship, but if he makes Canelo come off the titles, is he on your radar then in the division?
Yeah, all the top super middleweights are on my radar. I want to face the best, and a lot of fighters say that, but I don't feel like a lot of them have shown and proved that. I feel like I've shown and proved that. So
then there's Sean Porter, who knows Crawford's punches not by watching them but by wearing them. Porter gave Crawford one of his toughest recent fights, and in the process, he received something most of Crawford's opponents don't get: enough ring time to actually analyze him in real time before succumbing. Porter, who had never been stopped before Crawford halted him, is a good gauge of how Crawford's power functions. It's not instant, it accumulates. It's not about one big shot, but about placement and timing and the ability to hit from unpredictable angles. Crawford didn't stop Porter because he was overwhelmingly strong. He stopped him because he consistently landed clean shots that eventually took their toll. And that's where Porter's insight becomes controversial. He claims that, while Crawford's one-punch power may not be as effective at 168 pounds, his combinations will still locate Canelo, and once they do, it will be a matter of when, not if, they begin to slow the Mexican down. It's that consistent damage. Porter cautions fans not to focus over knockout power. According to him, Crawford's efficacy does not have to come from attempting to equal Canelo's brute strength. It must come from attrition, from forcing the Mexican to battle every second of every round, responding not to massive blows, but to a symphony of combinations that challenge his rhythm, gas tank, and patience. Porter says he'd bet his last dime on Crawford, but it's not a sentimental decision, it's a strategic one. He's seen what happens when you give Crawford enough time to develop his rhythm. He doesn't miss twice.
I'm gonna pick Crawford to win this fight. Crawford is very talented, great footwork, great combinations, and a very strong fighter. You know, facing him off, he's actually the taller man. So I'm leaning towards Crawford now. I switched my opinion. I think Canelo looked too slow, too flat-footed. One punch at a time. I don't think that's gonna be enough for him to beat Crawford. Crawford's too fast, too strong.
However, not everyone agrees with how the fight is being framed. Critics claim that while Pacquiao and Porter's counsel is useful, it ignores the harsh truth that Crawford is moving up to divisions 21 pounds heavier than when he defeated Errol Spence Jr. No matter how clever or competent he is, mass and muscle can become decisive if exhaustion sets in. Just ask Amir Khan, who fought both men and suffered brutal knockouts. He was knocked unconscious by Canelo's right hand in the 6th round of their 2016 middleweight title fight. Crawford demolished him again in the 6th year, this time in a much more technical, surgical manner. Khan is one of the few fighters with the credentials to comment on both men's power. And he isn't afraid to admit that Canelo hits harder. There's no disputing that, but Khan also provides a more nuanced warning. Crawford's lack of power does not make him any less dangerous. Crawford's threat resides in his camouflage. His punches do not appear heavy until they land. He doesn't wind up or telegraph, but he stings with shots that arrive from unusual angles and fall in locations that fighters are unprepared for. Khan states unequivocally that Crawford can do harm. Canelo will not knock him out with a single shot, but rather push him back, disrupt his rhythm, and compel him to withdraw. It's a bold allegation, especially given Canelo's iron chin and pose. But it's not unfounded. Bivol, a natural light heavyweight, did not knock Canelo down once during their fight, but he obviously won by outpacing him, outjabbing him, and forcing him into awkward positions. Crawford, if he retained his speed and mobility at 168, might repeat Bivol's plan with more variety, his straight punches and precise movement. Crawford might benefit from switch-hitting lateral movement and flurry.
I'm going with Terence Crawford. Big weight jump, a dangerous fight, but somebody's got to prove to me that they can break Terence Crawford's will and that he can't figure it out against you. It ain't no disrespect toward Canelo, but I've said this the last couple of years. I'm not betting against Terence Crawford against nobody right now. You got to show me that you can.
Nonetheless, there is an underlying concern that few prefer to face directly. Crawford's gas tank at this weight has never been tested. He has never carried 168 pounds in a live fight, whereas Pacquiao believes Crawford's main weapons are speed and style. Maintaining both for 12 rounds involves energy conservation and physical efficiency. It is unclear how Crawford's lungs will function when they are forced to carry an extra 20 pounds against a fighter who will most likely target the body from the first round. If Canelo does what he's done to practically every mobile opponent, breaking them down with body blows and reducing their movement by round 6, Pacquiao's counsel may become useless by round 8. And what about Crawford's combinations? As Porter highlighted out, they are among his strongest assets, but Canelo, for all his shortcomings, is not easily flustered by speed alone. He has been in a fight with Iris Landy, Lara Austin Trout and Shane Mosley, fighters who relied on output and timing to get ahead. Most of them failed to keep it up long enough. If Crawford's volume drops midway through the fight, those sharp combinations become counters waiting to happen, and Crawford's tendency to switch stances, while usually a strength, could open him up if he misjudges Canelo's timing during transitions.
Feel I got the speed over Canelo. I got the reach over him. He might got the size, the power. I got the better skills, boxing skills.
Would it be more of a cat and mouse? The reality is Canelo does put people out, from Kirkland to Amir Khan to just...
Don't just...
Obviously,
I'm just saying, man.
No, but he's not...
However, Crawford is not just any slickster. He is a boxer who enjoys gambling and wins the majority of his baits. He invites pressure, then pivots away. He led opponents to walk into traps, and unlike many of Canelo's previous opponents, Crawford fights fearlessly. He throws, plants, and reloads if he can keep Canelo from planting his feet long enough to produce power. This fight has a good chance of following the Bivol template rather than the Golovkin warfare, but will that be the case when Canelo hits him? Please share your opinions below and subscribe for future updates.